Welcome everyone back to the Project X podcast.
Time for the show that I've been losing sleep over.
Yes. This is episode 5. I am Alan Smith, along with
Big Dave.
Big Dave, that's right. So this episode, you guys probably noticed it by this point, if you're, well, you'd still be with us if you've listened to this point. But
Thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of all over the place with some of our topics, mainly because we're kind of all over the place with our topics in real life. So,
if you think this is bad, come hang out with us and drink coffee.
Oh my God, man! Yeah, yes. Any time that we get together, the conversation goes all over the place. Like you would never.
There is no train of thought.
It's
more like a clown car of thought.
It really is, and it's one of those things where it's like if you start trying to draw lines, you'll just wind up with a bunch of squiggles. Is all it is. I mean, it's just the way it is. So the podcast kind of reflects that and the fact that that's who we are. But today we're going to be talking about insomnia, and this is a subject that
we're not talking about the movie.
Not the movie. It's a pretty good movie, but this subject is something that Dave and I both have had trouble with at various times in our lives. We'll get into all of that, but it's also one of those things that it probably affects more people than you think, because prime example, my father, okay, my dad,
okay,
is one of those people that gets up in the morning, goes and drinks about, I don't know, a pot of coffee, and
sounds like we have that in common.
watches the Fox News and stews about
the current propaganda,
about the problems or whatever the quote unquote problem that he saw on television that day. Yep. And then he goes to his office and he pretty much does the same thing there, and then he comes home and him and my mom will go have dinner together, doing all that kind of stuff, and he'll sit down and he'll probably watch a baseball game or something like that. Maybe they'll go go do something, whatever. Or if, they might be watching my son, depending on the day of the week, when I have custody and all that kind of stuff. And then around 10 o'clock at the night, he goes in and gets in bed and closes his eyes and he's gone.
That must be nice.
I don't know how he does it. And it's one of those things where it's like, I have zero idea how he does it, because it's never been that easy for me.
Yeah. And
he always says, well, I just have a clear conscience, so it's easy to go to sleep at night. Well, that's not how it works all the time, because honestly, I have a very clear conscience. I have for the vast majority of my life, but it's still, that has nothing to do with my sleep patterns or anything.
We're talking about a very real sleep disorder.
It's a disorder. It's not I decided I was going to stay up all night or I'm going to do this. It's like, no, I cannot tell you how many times in my life I felt my eyelids were so heavy, my eyes hurt, my head hurt, and all that kind of stuff. And I've gone and laid down and turned the light out and then stared at the ceiling for the next 3 hours because my mind would not shut off to let me go to sleep.
You can't find the off switch to quit the merry-go-round. Well, see, I've dealt with it also, but I've got a unique twist to it.
Okay.
I also have sleep apnea.
Okay.
And had probably had it since I was 16 or 17, but wasn't diagnosed with it until after I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
talk about sleep apnea just for a second.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that I guess during the 90s was the first time I really heard about it.
Yeah.
And I guess most famously, Reggie White, the football player, died from it. There's been some other high-profile people.
There's probably actually been more deaths from sleep apnea up until that point, but they were more diagnosed as men having heart attacks in their sleep and dying.
Right. And I never understood, and it's one of those things that I had heard my mom, who also has a real... This is where I get my insomnia from. My mom is the same way.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that I have heard her talk about my dad for years prior to ever knowing, ever heard sleep apnea. That, of course, he snored. You could hear him all over the house. I mean, just snore and snore and snore. But she would talk about how sometimes he would just quit breathing in the middle of the night.
I found out that I do that.
Yeah. And so it's one of those like, and that was scary, obviously.
Basically what happens is the reason you snore is the skin in your throat right behind your hard palate, it's softer.
Right.
And when you're laying on your back, or even for folks that are heavier like me, even if you're laying on your side, that skin tends to fall down and close off your airway. And depending on to what extent it's closing off that airway, it can do everything from cause you to snore, which is that skin in the back of your throat just flapping in the wind, to just closing off your airway. And I think when I went for my sleep study, I would stop breathing for almost up to like a minute and a half to 2 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it's major.
Yeah.
My sleep apnea machine.
And for anybody that doesn't realize, you're not supposed to not breathe for that long of a period of time.
Yeah. It tends to result in things like death.
Yeah. It's funny how stopping breathing and death are so closely associated.
I know. But it's my machine, the highest setting on the machine. I need to go get it updated.
Yeah.
I need to go to the doctor and get it updated. But at the time, the highest setting on my machine was like a 20, and mine set like it right at a 16. And I could really stand for it to be more like a 17.
Okay.
But one of the things before you get diagnosed with sleep apnea is you're not hitting REM sleep.
Right.
So you're not getting restful sleep.
Right.
And it would result in me being able, if I sat down and I sat still for even like a half second or something, I was out like a light. I could sleep. And if I got if I'd been working like a 12, 14, 16 hour day, I could sit down in the middle of a stairwell and lean against the wall and take a 20-minute nap and not fall over. Now, combine not being able to sleep like you're supposed to.
Right.
And you've worked a 10, 12-hour day, and you're exhausted, and you go into bed and you lay down, and now you're staring at the ceiling. Well, you're already not getting any sleep. You're now got insomnia where you're up all the time, and now the next day you've got to get up and go to work. And, if you've got to sit down anywhere, even if you're sitting down for like a second, you're out.
Right.
So people think that you're lazy because you just fall asleep at the drop of a hat.
Right. Yeah, and that's believe me, I have so many stories on that one.
Yeah.
One of the things that added to my insomnia for years, and it's still one of those things that I have problems with it now, and I have to kind of monitor this, was that when you're a kid, you take a nap in the afternoon. It's like, well, I did too. And it's one of those things I remember, like
see it as a reward.
In kindergarten, we have nap time.
Yeah.
I remember like everybody else would go to sleep and I'm just laying there. Like, okay, blah, blah, blah. I even remember one time, like, getting bored and, like, I took the shoestring out of one of my shoes, I was, like, playing with it, and, like, I wound up, like, slapping the person across the face with it that was next to me, just because, of course, I got in trouble, and imagine that. But, it was just one of those things. It was more boredom than anything, it wasn't, it was like that type of stuff. Anyway, but my mom had told me that when I was a baby, like, that I would not sleep at night. That type of stuff. So this has been an ongoing thing with me for years and years and years and years and years. Anyways, what I was saying about the nap, here's the thing. I can close my eyes for 5 minutes in the middle of the day, and I'll be up all night.
Oh.
Like, I had that problem of I would be so tired, from not sleeping the night before or whatever it was, and just get to a point where, like, I just need to lay down for a little while, and, like, take an hour or so nap or something like that, and then be up all night again. And so it's one of those things like, no, I need to stay awake so that I can sleep tonight, and then going and crashing in the bed and laying there completely exhausted because I've essentially been up for 2 days straight, going on 3 days, and still can't go to sleep.
Let me ask you this. And I know what the answer for this for me is.
Okay.
Do you tend to be more of a night owl?
Yes, there's that also.
So you tend to be more
always have been. My son,
night.
Same thing. He's a little baby. But since he was a baby, he was a night owl as well. And that kind of helped because At the time, I was working for my dad when he was born, and so and for the first few years of his life, and so it was one of those things that,
so you could be up with him.
I could be up with him and go in when I needed to, rather than having to be there at a certain time or whatever, or just let him know like, hey, I was up with my son all night, I can't come in today or whatever. And that was a good place to be for that time in his life.
Sure.
But now he's really good. Like I think he generally just wears himself out during the day, and he's really good about
passing out when
around the same time every night. He goes to sleep. We get up the same time every morning, and that's something also with my job schedule now that I'm pretty much on a set. I have to be up at this time.
Yeah.
It might vary a little bit on the days that he's with his mom, to where I don't have to be up as early because I don't have to take him to my parents' place, but it's not, we're talking 15 minutes or 20 minutes difference, is so I generally just keep the same schedule even when he's not here. Even on the weekends, a lot of times I find myself still getting up way too early when I'm like, no, like this morning, we're recording this on a Saturday, and like I woke up at like 6:30, and I was like, no, and yeah, so it's that type of stuff. But
see, I tend to be a night owl also.
Yes.
And I've really had to fight. If you don't know, I'm a week out of knee surgery, which Alan knows this. I'm just letting y'all know. But I've basically been out of work for a month because it happened. I'll go to the doctor. They go, oh, well, you need to see this doctor. I couldn't get an appointment until like 4 or 5 days later. And that doctor sees me, goes, oh, well, you need an MRI. And they can't schedule that until like 3 or 4 days later.
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, you need surgery. They can't schedule that until like 3 or 4 days later. And it's like, oh, you need to recover now.
Right.
So
all on their schedule, not yours. So,
So I've basically been out of work a month. And I've had to fight because my normal circadian rhythm is generally somewhere from like 1 to 3 in the afternoon to like 1 or 3 in the morning.
Okay.
That's when I tend to do the best.
Okay.
The job I'm working now, unfortunately, is from like, I have to be there at 7.
Okay.
Which I've had to, getting up in the morning physically for me hurts.
Okay.
It physically hurts. And so I basically get up at 4:30 in the morning and start pounding coffee. Which I'm not really upset about because I love coffee.
Right.
But in order to get up and get moving, I have to start pounding coffee at 4:30 in the morning because I've got to leave the house by 6 due to traffic.
Right. Yeah, and you have a ways to drive from where you live to where your work is.
If there's no traffic, it's a 30-minute gig.
Right.
It's no big deal. But by the time you add in traffic coming in from north of Nashville, it turns into 45 minutes to an hour, depending. So I have to be in bed by 9. Have to be.
Okay.
And if I lay down at 9 and I can't fall immediately asleep, I am screwed the next day.
Right.
Because if I can't get to sleep then, I'm going to still be up at 1. And I got to be up at by 4:30.
Right.
And I haven't found a good way. I even tried taking melatonin.
Really?
Half an hour before bed.
That I've actually found for me works pretty well. So.
It does not work for me. It doesn't get me to sleep. In fact, it makes it worse in the morning trying to drag myself out of bed.
See, I haven't had problems with melatonin. I've had problems with other, like I can't take anything over the counter, like Nitol or any whatever, the generic ones, because one of two things happens. Either it knocks me out cold, and when I wake up the next morning, I drag for half the day because I still have that.
Yeah, you feel like a zombie.
Yeah, or, and this is even worse, I have taken it before and it didn't work.
Ugh.
Yes, and then you still have all that crap in your system, but you're not asleep.
You're not awake either.
Yeah, you really are a zombie for a while. I know when I was in college, being young, you do stupid stuff in general, but especially in this, sometimes I would because I would go through these real bouts with insomnia, and I would kind of push myself to see how long I could stay awake.
Yeah.
And I made it almost 4 days one time.
Ooh.
It wasn't good.
No,
it was
that's actually
not good. Yeah. And the thing is, you have to think about this. I was going to class. I was going to work.
You were driving.
I was driving. I was doing all this stuff. And I...
Don't do this.
No, do not do this. But I was on the border of hallucinations. Like, I was seeing stuff in my periphery that wasn't there. I was not seeing anything in front of me, but I was seeing a lot of movement on my peripheral vision that I was like, I know was not there. And I know that is once you hit a certain point of no sleep that you start hallucinating quite hard. And
hi, Biscuit.
Hi, that's actually Carly.
Oh, is it Carly?
Both the dogs want to get on the podcast today.
Now this is a tangent because that's what I do best. Mm-hmm. Hallucinating, or were you starting to creep into?
No, I was hallucinating.
Starting to creep into some of the spiritual.
Yeah, I don't.
realms.
Well, that's 10. We'll have to get into some of my backstory here of
ghost and supernatural.
Well, not necessarily that, but just when I don't mind saying this, I'm coming up on close to. I'm slowly approaching 10 years of sobriety in my life.
Good for you.
And my dogs are happy. You can see now. You can hear them.
Hi, Biscuit. Go lay down.
Yeah, go lay down, doggies.
Go lay down.
Hey,
go on.
So, when I was drinking quite a bit,
so he's talking about 10 years of sobriety, and tell me, was it the dogs that drove you to drinking?
No, it was not the dogs that drove me to it. It was just me that drove me to it. We're back. So, had to put the dogs up real quick. When I was young, and drinking a lot and imbibing in some other stuff as well, there was before that, what I was going to get to is that before I got sober, there was a time where I was going through some really, on top of all this, I've had problems with alcohol, with depression and anxiety. It runs in my family. It's something I've had since I was a kid. Okay. The three go hand in hand.
Sure.
The depression, the anxiety, and the sleep, and just the insomnia. I mean, that was always just like, it was that triple threat. But I was laying on the couch one night. I had been up for a couple of days. I'd come home from work and taken a shower. I was laying on the couch, and I was watching television, and I was in that kind of in, kind of out.
Kind of that liminal area.
Yeah, it was like
awake and asleep.
Everything still looked like it was happening, but it was just a little off, And I looked over at the television, and there was a woman in a green dress standing next to it. And it was one of those things where, like, I sat up, of like, what? And she was gone.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, you get that kind of stuff. I've had stuff like that, I remember one time, I was almost asleep. It was another one of those, it was like really early in the morning. Like, I think the sun was even starting to come up. It was like that early in the morning, and like I was almost asleep, and I'm laying there, and I was like, my eyes are about half open, and I saw this huge spider go running off the side of the bed. And of course, like, I jumped up immediately, like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, have you seen the movie The Machinist?
I have not.
Okay. The Machinist and the movie Fight Club.
Oh, I've seen Fight Club.
Okay.
I love Fight Club.
Both of those movies probably do the best in actually showing what life looks like when you can't sleep. Okay. That washed out. There's, it wasn't always a green tone for me. There was usually, there's some days it was orange, like a deep orange, and some days it was whatever, of how nothing tastes exactly the way it's supposed to taste, and nothing looks exactly the way it's supposed to look.
I kind of know what you're talking about, because it's everything. It's like somebody's grabbed the saturation knob and desaturated
absolutely
everything.
Absolutely. And that is, I mean, the first real time that happened, I thought it was kind of cool. Because I was like, wow, this is weird, I've taken drugs that didn't even do this before, that type of stuff. But then like when you start realizing what it's doing to your system.
Well, also doing to you mentally.
Yes, and all that stuff. And, I found, we're talking about drinking coffee only helps to a certain point. Because basically, it kind of goes back to what I heard someone one time talking about. Like, because I worked in the service industry for a number of years, and of course, you have to go and get your ABC card, and I remember them saying, it's one of those things that if someone is inebriated, giving them coffee doesn't help. All it does is it just makes them a more aware drunk. Is all it is, and that's what coffee is. Coffee will, as much as I love coffee, because I can sit and drink a pot at a time.
Let's be honest about it. Coffee is a drug.
It is. Caffeine is a drug, but it's one of those things where coffee does not help you stay awake. It just makes you a more aware insomniac. It's all it is.
It really does.
So, in college, I learned to live on coffee and beer, and both of them tried to kill me on certain occasions. And it was just kind of one of those things that I would stay up for 2 or 3 days at a time easily. I remember multiple times seeing the sun come up.
Sitting in a Waffle House?
Maybe there, or maybe just driving around. I couldn't sleep, and I would just go get in the car and drive.
I can't.
And listen to music, or just something. And which is, now looking back, was like, that's dumb, because what happens if you were getting sleepy? Yeah. Now fast forward until I was like older. I was an adult.
That's really kind of the basis of our friendship, because we hung out at Volunteer State.
Well, we hung out at Waffle House because there was a bunch of us who just couldn't sleep.
It was the Insomniacs Club.
Exactly.
Is what it was, and we'd all end up meeting at the Waffle House.
And stayed at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Well,
or longer, or till the sun came up, or whatever,
I can't tell you how many times it was me and you and our friend Corey.
It will probably be on the show at some point.
Yeah, we'll have to get him in here at some point. But sitting around a Waffle House, I would go out driving because I couldn't sleep, which is brilliant.
Yes.
So I've got the windows rolled down and music turned up, and always ended up driving through the Waffle House parking lot and going, yep, everybody's here.
Yeah, let's go in.
It must be a full moon tonight.
Exactly,
And ordinarily, more often than not, it was for me.
Yeah, and I know that you have problems with the lunar cycle affecting your sleep.
Yeah, very much so.
I have problems with the time change these days. That's my biggest problem that I have with insomnia these days is, when in the fall
back doesn't bother me.
No, see, it does.
I love that.
The fall, I like. There is a part of me that really loves the nighttime. Yeah. And as much as I enjoy now, because we're recording this in late June, and matter of fact, we just passed the summer solstice, so it's one of those things where the days are going to start getting, you'll get a little less light every day.
Yeah.
But I really do love having daylight until 8:30.
Yeah.
At least some part of it. But on the flip side of that, I also really like it when it starts getting dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with the time of the year, fall being my favorite time of the year and all that kind of stuff. But when that happens, there's about a 2-week period where my sleep schedule just goes haywire. And then in the springtime, when it happens again, it goes haywire for another 2 weeks.
I'm doubly mad at the spring forward thing.
Because they moved it, for one thing.
I'm not a morning person anyway.
Right.
And now you're springing forward, and now my 4 o'clock get up time has now become 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
According to my circadian rhythm, or whatever the heck that is. 2, they moved it.
They moved it back 2 weeks.
To the weekend of my birthday. So not only is it my birthday, but now you're making me get up an hour earlier on my birthday. No.
Not a very nice birthday present.
That's, not at all.
Some people would say it would be, but those people are insane. So
these people that are talking about jumping forward and just
staying there.
No, screw you. I want to fall back and I want to stay there.
That all goes in, and this all runs together.
And you're like, no, I like my extra time in the summer.
Screw you.
I got news for you. It's gonna stay bright longer anyway.
Either way, I know.
Because it's the summer.
And also for the fact that time is a man-created thing.
It's a construct.
It is. It's completely a human created construct of if whatever mathematician figured out that like, okay, we can do this in 24 hours. Okay. But the thing is that
even if you get religious, if you go back to it, it's like there was day and then there was night. Mm-hmm. And there was no measurement of how long the day was. It was
like there was day and there was night. Exactly.
There was day and then there was night. Mm-hmm. Well, and here's what's funny is there was day and then there was night. And if you read further, then the Lord put lights in the sky to signify when it is day,
and when it is night.
So
exactly.
It was day and it was night before the sun and the moon were even there. If you want to go on the religious part of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's the... Yeah, because the thing is like here in the United States, we have daylight, what they call daylight savings time, whatever. But the thing is like Indianapolis, Indiana doesn't recognize it because there's a lot of dairy around there and it throws the cows off.
Yeah.
Arizona, the entire state of Arizona, does not recognize daylight savings time.
Yeah.
They stay on one thing, so that tells you.
Originally, it was an agriculture thing.
Right.
During the summer, they would jump the clocks ahead an hour so that the farmers would have some extra time of daylight to get the crops.
In theory, but it really. Whether or not it says 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock really makes no difference whatsoever because that daylight's there
it was
regardless.
A politician thing.
I know.
It was totally a politician thing.
Right.
And I don't know if it's true or not, but I keep seeing this meme about the time change happens. About, it's Native American goes, only a white man would think you could cut an inch off the top of the blanket and sew it onto the bottom and think you've got a longer blanket.
Right. So. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so yeah, that's that with the time change is usually what screws me up, whatever. Nice. You would think that I didn't sleep last night with the way I'm stumbling today.
Very controversial.
The other thing is that being, and I hate using the word because it sounds like something your grandmother, being a creative person, okay? I hate using that because it sounds like something you're great. Oh, my grandson's so creative. It's like it's like saying artsy. It's like no, that's just some of my pet peeves. Anyway, but being someone who likes to create, okay?
Yeah.
I found, and I have one friend in particular who always talks about, I'm more creative at night. I'm like, no, you're not more creative at night. It's just that at night is when you have the time to be creative.
Well,
does that make sense?
And some of that, because everybody's natural time is different. Some people are night people. Sometimes, most people are day people.
Right.
Society.
And they're weirdos.
So. And society has thrust upon us that the daytime is when you get up, you go to work.
Right. That's your productive time.
That's your productive time. And some people are just more productive at night. So nighttime, she may be right. The night may be when she's able to be.
It's
more
funny
productive.
how you said she, just assuming because it's not a she.
I don't know why I thought.
I know.
Because I'm the same way.
Right.
If I get like a nap if I'm up all day and I get a nap, between like 2 and 5, I can be up the rest of the night working on stuff. And, whether it's writing or music or video or...
Right.
And part of that is everybody else has gone to sleep, so I don't have any kind of
and there's
idiots
that
to
also.
bother me.
That's exactly. It's when you find the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I always found because, when I was young and lived with my parents, they were in bed. And so I didn't have anybody, I didn't have anybody to bother me.
Yeah.
When I got older and got married, she would go to bed and I would stay up. And so I didn't have anybody bothering me, and that kind of stuff. And it just, but the problem is, and this was what I was getting to earlier, that one of the problems that I ran into when I got older is that I had a job where I was in a car most of the day.
Yeah.
Driving. For very late, I had to run paperwork down different offices downtown, or different county seats here and there and that kind of stuff, which was a great job for me because I get to be in the car and listen to podcasts all day while I'm going and doing this stuff, or music, or whatever it was. But the problem is when you're an insomniac,
yep,
and you stay up, and this is when I was drinking heavily on top of it also. I'm an insomniac who's drinking, which means that when I would wake up the next day, I'd only been asleep a few hours, which means that I was probably still drunk, not just hungover. Like there was probably still enough alcohol in my system that hadn't processed through that I would probably be legally drunk, type stuff.
Been a bad thing if you'd gotten pulled over.
Exactly. But for a cups of coffee and go. I found myself really goofing off on that job quite a bit, of finding time to take naps in between runs to different places, of like, always having an excuse for, I was this or that, type stuff. But it was just,
pulled up under a tree.
I don't, and it's one of those things, looking back on it now, like over 10 years later, I'm just like, man, how did I not get killed or kill somebody or any number of things, extremely lucky. And it's a combination of things there. It's the insomnia and it's the alcoholism, but the insomnia is the thing that kind of helped lead to the other thing, and that was
it might have been the depression leading to
the insomnia. It was the depression and anxiety, and the anxiety and
wrap them in the conundrum of the alcoholism.
Exactly, and so it's one of those things that I'm much better now. I will say that, like, after I got sober, and this is my story. It's not everybody's, whatever. After I got sober, and I finally got help for the depression and anxiety, that was one of the things, man. I started sleeping, and I slept and slept like I hadn't slept in years.
You're catching up.
Yeah, I really did. For like that first 4 or 5 months, man, I slept anytime that I wasn't working. I was at home in bed asleep. And felt rested for the first time in a very long time in my life, because I had done those, stay up for a couple of days and then sleep for 12 hours straight and wake up and feel worse than I did before I went to sleep. Or sleep for a normal time but feel like I never really rested. That's the other thing that goes with insomnia that people don't get, is that I would go to sleep 6, 7, 8 hours, and wake up and feel like I hadn't slept at all.
If you don't get into that REM
exactly,
sleep, you wake up as exhausted as you did when you went to bed.
Exactly, and so that's okay. It's one of those things that I did a lot of stuff during. I've got time. Okay, I'll work on this or work on that, or and I would get stuff done. But what more times than not I would find was that I would halfway get something done. I had a lot of projects that got halfway done, and very few of them that got completely done. Because it just
books and books of half-written lyrics.
Exactly, of a book that I was working on that never got finished, of any number of things.
Screenplay that I tried to turn into a video.
Exactly. I
was so embarrassed about I wouldn't show it to you. Luckily, it got me graduated.
That kind of stuff. And so, ideas for podcasts or this or that or, whatever it was. And these days, we should probably do a podcast about the creative urge or whatever, at some point, the creative spark or whatever it is, because that's a whole other thing.
All right, making notes as we talk. Go ahead.
It's amazing how many times we're in the middle of recording a podcast and we realize, oh yeah, here's another idea for something else.
It's natural.
Right. But it's, when I was, when you're young, it's funny the things when you're young that you hang your hat on, whether it's, some people have like that one really bad breakup that they carry with them throughout their teens or 20s or whatever, that like they kind of act like this is the thing that defines me now. This is the reason I'm the way that I am. Some people have their...
I've got a whole book of those.
Some people have, a substance abuse or like a loss of a family member or whatever it is, that they kind of like, they're carrying on their back as this is part of what defines me now. My insomnia was something that defined me for a long time, because the people that were in the know, I remember when I had returned to college. This would have been when we became, when we, like met back up, which we talked about in our last episode.
Yeah,
but
catch up, folks.
Yeah, exactly. But it was one of those things where the friends, the group of friends I was hanging around with at the time, and especially the girl that I was dating at the time, she always knew if I had slept or not.
Oh, sure.
The night before. Like I would come in and she would be like, "Oh, you didn't sleep, did you?" Or, we would be hanging out and she would go home and she was like, "Go to sleep tonight. Don't stay up all night." And then the next day she's like, "Yeah, you didn't sleep, did you?" And it was kind of one of those things. Now, again, I was dealing with depression issues at the time and that was the very beginning of the substance abuse issues that I would carry with me for another 10 or 15 years, after that. Yeah. But it was something that I felt defined who I was. Oh yeah, no, I can do this. I can stay up for 2 days or 3 days or however long. I can do this. I can still function. Oh, you don't think I can do it? Here, I'll show you. And sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't.
It was very much a here, hold my drink.
Exactly. And that being young and trying to prove that you can do something and some being immature as well. But some okay, a lot of being immature. Okay, but it was just one of those things.
We're going to let's call it because that was me too.
Yeah, and so now as an adult,
now as an immature adult,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so he's like, hey, I'm not like most teenagers. I'm 40, 40 something. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those. I look at it now, I'm like, man, I would love to have all that sleep, because now I have a whole lot of other responsibilities that I don't get to sleep as much as I could have during that time.
As your kid, you think a nap is a punishment.
Now, exactly.
Now it's a reward.
It's like, I get to take, no. I get two whole hours uninterrupted sleep. Heck yeah, I'm taking that,
Right in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
And I find that I don't have that problem as much anymore about, if I take a nap in the middle of the day, I can't go to sleep at night, which is great. I'm sure some of that is physiological as well, of just being older. Hi, Biscuit. I know. You can sleep anytime. I'm sure it has something to do with being older and my body being like, no, seriously, dude, you have to sleep. This is...
You either need to sleep or you need to replace our lithium batteries because they don't store the energy. Like
if you don't sleep, you're going to have to start replacing a lot of parts over, and it's
Could we not talk about replacing parts?
So it's just...
My knee is still killing me.
I'm sure that some of you that are out there listening to this, if you've made it all the way through, have had these experiences. Tell us about them.
Yeah.
It's we're going to do, once everything gets going, and we're going to do a letters episode, I guess, for lack of a better term. We're going to do a letters episode at some point where we read, your emails and comments and stuff like that, and we'll talk and we'll discuss them.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, and it's good filler too. No, it's like the clips episode of any television show when we were growing up.
Thanks for helping us write our podcast that you're listening to.
But no, we really do want to hear from you, your stories about insomnia, and anything else that we've covered, and maybe some stuff we haven't. Just if you've got a cool story or something.
It's conversation.
Very much so. You can get in touch with us at projectxpod@gmail.com. You can also find our we haven't got our website up yet. We can go to Twitter at Project Xpod.
Twitter, yeah. Say it again because I walked over.
Project Xpod at Twitter. I guess that's at Project Xpod or whatever it is.
Working on the Facebook.
We're working on Facebook and Instagram and a few other things.
And the website.
And the website is still, neither one of us are coders, so it's kind of hey, I guess we could do this. But anyways, we're glad that you stayed with us through this one.
Come back and hang out.
Come back and hang out. We'll have some more. We'll have some more episodes that you'll hopefully like better than this one, maybe. So, anyways, I am Alan Smith.
I'm Big Dave,
and we will see you next time.